Ahoy,
Ahoy, ahoy,
hoy,
everyone.
everyone. How's it going? Happy Sunday. You can see it's a sunny Sunday here in
It's
Tricky Brick
balmy,
Studios.
positively balmy.
I know.
Just hanging out under the palm trees.
So this awesome background is by our friend Claire Nordlow Boyd, who's an amazing builder, and she's Claire and Bricks. So Claire with an E, N, and then Bricks.
She makes wonderful pieces.
She makes really great stuff. And when people were making Zoom backgrounds out of Lego near the beginning of the pandemic, she kind of was the go-to person for that. So she made some really great stuff. So not that
we met her at Bricks LA, right?
We did. She's an awesome and amazing person. So awesome. So there you go. Oh yeah, thanks, John Luttrell. Yes, I got a haircut finally.
I know,
the
first one, the first
felt so good.
Official one.
I got like the cheater one in the middle.
Yeah.
Like there was the one that like my friend came over and gave me, and she's good, but it wasn't, going and sitting in the barber chair was really nice. And it was very safe, and masks were worn, and I feel really confident that everything was.
It was a great day yesterday. We played for the first time ever bocce ball.
We played bocce ball. Yes, continuing our ascension to grandpahood. We went and played bocce ball yesterday with our friend Lisa, who also happens to be our DM for our Dungeons and Dragons games.
It was super fun on a very nice sunny day.
It was lovely out.
I didn't break a sweat.
No,
playing that game.
No, and then we got to go. We got to go to the Lego store.
We did,
and meet up with Paint Pusher and Minifig Chick, and meet Mill. Oh my God,
Mill. Really,
Minifig Chick is still had in my head. Oh, man.
Okay. I think he's talking about Will Letchworth.
Will Letchworth,
who we saw in person.
Who we got to see in person was awesome to see. Well, we saw, all of him, but this part.
Exactly.
But it was really great to see him, and it was so fun to be there in the store, and we got some fun stuff,
and it was all safe. They had everything together. They have it figured out for minifigs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We picked up a bunch of prizes for giveaways, and it was a generally.
If you
really
look into the future, I think you can hear the sound of a clicking wheel.
Exactly. JMW Music asks, loving the background. Yes, our friend Claire did this.
Yeah.
Is that the challenge for this week? Yes. The challenge for this week is to create a backdrop for our show, because we are going full green screen now while we work on a special project that is back in our hut
right
on
behind
the beach.
Behind the beach.
On the other shore.
I know it looks so far away, but it's really close.
It's really just right there. And we are going to be so your challenge is to come up with a background. All of the rules are up on the website
in great detail.
I'm so excited to see what people come up with, because I'm hoping make a Zoom background, I don't want to say Zoom because we actually don't use Zoom. So a background, a green screen background for our show, and I'm hoping that people will make them kind of site specific, that some people will make some that are specific to our show. So hopefully they're, I put up a list of some things that we are into, that we like, and you guys know. So I'm excited to see what people come up with.
And then you don't have to think just 2D, right? You can think, we want a set, it
was like a close-up of
David Letterman,
a little
Griffin,
room,
Ellen.
like mini motos, washing machine. It had that room had dimension to it. Yeah. So however you want to make it, whatever you want to do, but I can't wait to see what y'all are going to come up with.
And then we'll share, everyone who submits one will use that. Now, if you submit a bunch, it may take a while for us to get there.
It's right. but everybody will get their build featured as our backdrop for one of our upcoming shows.
That sounds so fun.
So there you go. All right. Well, let's see. I think some of our guests are here. Now I realize, do I have, okay, good. I wanted to make sure I had my pen because it's really special, but I have it here on the side. So all right, let's welcome onto the show, you know her, you love her. It's Holly. Hi, Holly.
Hi, Holly.
Hello. Holy everyone.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. It's a good day today. And
ready
also,
for some Sunday lazy chatting and building.
Oh yes. And we also have the inimitable Moto is here. Hi, Moto.
Did somebody say lazy? I'm here.
I love your shirt. That is awesome.
Yeah, I feel like we're on the same spectrum again today, Moto.
Right, exactly.
Here.
Totally.
Gallery.
Oh my goodness. And I can see she's looking perplexed in the green room, so I'm going to give her a second before I bring Kara on. I think she's getting her things set up. I love that I can see everybody in the green room. It's like being in the studio and like
you're like mission control.
Yeah, I've decided that I need a welcome mat for my house for if and when we're ever able to have parties again that just says, please wait while your host lets you in or whatever it says. You know?
Right, exactly.
So let's see.
I'm going to be unbuilding today, taking all the tiles off.
Unbuilding.
Oh, yeah, well, we have that. I tiled all those big base plates for my nature challenge.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Oh no, actually, you know what we need? We need this one. Oh,
the big boy.
The shoe one. Or there's the one. There's the new black ones, and we have one of them.
I have a black one somewhere, but
right? This one's actually probably not good because it doesn't have a pointy end as much.
Yeah, that one looks like a doorstop.
Hey, Mel is here. Iceberg Bricks. How's it going, Mel? Can you believe that we just passed the 1-year anniversary of Lego Masters airing on TV? Like it was a year ago, I think yesterday or a couple days ago. I don't remember now, but
yes. And I wrote some comments that were uneducated, and Flynn and I met because he educated me on my ignorance.
I don't know that I would put it in those terms.
Well, it was pretty amicable, but I just read the exchange, and it was clear the two of you hadn't yet met and were just in that moment meeting.
Yeah, it's kind of
who's this guy?
Well, you know, I will say that was when the show first came on. I don't know. I just sort of, I don't know why I did it, but I sort of took on the defense of the cast members on social media, just because there were right at the very beginning, especially, there was a crush of really negative, kind of not very nice things being said
There's
about.
a lot of attacking going on.
Yeah, there really was,
Yeah.
and it
well,
was.
You could probably sum it up by saying some people thought that it was inauthentic.
Right, and fortunately for me, I felt I wasn't personally the target of any of it, but being, you know, we became so close. You know, we were like family, and these are all real people, and I felt that I wanted to defend my fellow castmates and just kind of say, look, this isn't actually what it is. It's kind of this way, and you know, I don't know. I don't feel bad about it. I'm glad I did it, and.
You were always respectful
and now
and nice, right?
I have a new bestest buddy in Moto, and I love that.
Yay.
So that's just awesome. So, and you know,
well, so does that mean that you did not meet on Julian's show? You had met previously online.
Actually, I guess that's true. But I mean, we official like face-to-face meet was on Julian's show for sure.
Yeah, and Richard, that's how you and I met as well. But
yeah, exactly.
No, Flynn established first contact by flying his starship in and taking the captain's role and coming down and the beast. And he's like,
I can't help it. I'm the gay Lego dad. I was
and it worked out well.
Protecting my chicks, you know.
Yeah, and to be fair, so everyone in the chat knows, I was complaining about the way that the focus and editing was applied, not the.
I had that same complaint for what it's worth.
Yeah, not that
and it's
scripted or not.
But well, it's no secret as much as. You know, I got to say that was an awesome experience. I wish we had seen more building.
I do too.
When it came to air,
I think that was.
Well, you're an AFOL when you wish there was more building in the show.
Exactly.
That's the way it is.
Or I should say, yes. Consensus among AFOLs is that we wanted to see more building.
Yep.
Surprise.
I think it was also conclusive that we weren't really the target audience.
Well, that's a surprise.
I think that's the thing too, and I think a lot of people didn't. And it's funny. I find it's the same thing of when people when AFOLs complain about various Lego sets, and you're like, you are not the target. This is not meant. The Mario sets may be a nostalgia hit for you, but they are not made for you.
That's right.
So yesterday, when I got my haircut, I took my barber, his name's Maddox, and he's amazing. He's so good. And he has an adorable little son named Knox. And I took Knox a couple of little Lego, brought some Lego things for him to take home to Knox.
And you knew what Knox liked, too, right?
Yes. But he was talking about the Mario sets. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting because, I know, how does he like it? Like he is super into it.
Yeah.
Like 100% into making all his own levels and doing all of it. He's really, really into it.
Yeah, my 9-year-old's pretty into it. So I mean, he doesn't play with. I mean, it's like the same but different. It's almost like a different toy. Like it's not as Lego to him as Lego. Like you put Lego in front of him and he's gonna kind of just build whatever. And Mario is really more about the just function, thinking about the application and function of this does this and this does this. So it's just different. It's a different kind of toy.
Yeah, it's but yeah, definitely it wasn't the show necessarily aimed at adult Lego fans. It was aimed for, middle America. It was aimed for people who still watch. I mean, I'm not saying this disparagingly in any way, but people who still watch network television, which frankly is not as many people as it was 10 or 15 years ago, right? Because people cut the cord. People are signing up for Disney Plus and HBO Max and Netflix, and that's what they do. And those people, that's why I feel like that's why we got a big resurgence of viewers when the pandemic started, because of it showed up on Hulu, because it showed up on the streaming services, and I feel like there was a whole nother round of people that saw the show that wouldn't have seen it otherwise. We had to go to friends' houses to watch it. We didn't have.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like we all really had to go out of our way to watch it.
We don't have.
I didn't. I registered and downloaded the Fox app, so now I get Masked Singer ads on my push notes on my phone because of you guys.
And did you guys see? 15 million people saw it, though, right?
A lot of people saw it. I don't know what the streaming numbers were, but did you guys see that? It's been nominated for a Nickelodeon's Kid Choice Award, and I'm so over the moon about that.
It's the highest honor you could ever get.
That's so cool. Well, I mean, seriously. And I know there was talks about Emmys, and I think there was an Emmy for a production point, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I apologize, but for me, for the show to get picked and to have been involved and on a show with my husband on national TV that gets chosen as a Kids' Choice Award, you don't know how much that means. That is beyond anything I could have imagined. Even just being on the show was more, I thought, more than I could imagine. And then having,
not yet,
having that.
It's not time yet.
I don't know. It was just, that was cool. It's really special. And I'm so appreciative and delighted by that. Just too cool. So
speaking of AFOL haters, though, let me tell you, I went and grabbed this guy recently that I'm working on. This is what I'm building right now.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what?
And I think it's gorgeous.
That's what I got yesterday.
Yeah, we did too.
We were at the store yesterday and we saw Cara and got it from her. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I have to admit, I had an utter change of heart about that. When I first saw it compared with the fan model, I was disappointed. I thought this doesn't look like this at all. And I've seen it multiple times on its own now, and on its own, it's just such a fun.
I kind of called it, right? Like I had a feeling that's what was going to happen. Is like when you see anything in comparison to something else, there's always going to be that chatter of like you either like it more or less. It's like you're going to have an opinion.
Right.
But I had a feeling. I was like, I know when this thing comes out and people see it sitting on shelves, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, I kind of need that. And it's
Holly was right, but I refuse to concede my position.
Yeah, I just want to show real quick because JMW Music is asking. It is the new Lego Ideas Medieval Blacksmith set.
Yeah,
and it's really like just the packaging is delightful. It just looks like such a wonderful build.
You can see the back of it,
and I think part of it too is having, and we talked about this before, but having had Wes on the show and knowing the things that Wes is into and has worked on in the past, like to me, I can see the elves influence here. Yeah. Like I can see his love of Dungeons and Dragons. Like I can see all of them. All of it has sort of coalesced.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I could still be a harsh critic of it. Like there's still some things in here that I was a little like, I'm sort of surprised. Like the chairs are very, very fragile. So a couple of tips here. I would recommend going ahead and putting all doing the tile work, these guys around the outside. Like I would do all of that before you put the chairs on the inside, because like as I was pressing things, I kept knocking those chairs and they just kept falling apart, and they're a little cumbersome. So that's my hot tip for if you guys are building it.
How often
Always
have you
hot
done
take.
that in
That needs to be a segment for the weekend.
How often have you done that in mock making, that for like a half hour you're gingerly going around this thing, you're like, darn, it keeps falling, and then finally you just take it off and everything's easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it was just easier. After I did it, they fell apart a couple of times. I was like, you know what? These are going to go in last.
So
Richard, my entire model making is based on that.
Say hello to everybody.
Oh, yes,
and we'll come back and talk about this a little bit more. Okay. But just wanted to say, hi, Alexander 23 is here. Aubrey Kovac, Brickworm. Chris has been recast in WV Chalice. I'm not sure what that means. Oh. Very nice. Sorry, I can't believe you got that. Yes.
I got it.
Cowboy Cornado is here. See you later. Darren Siegfried, Debo Bricks, Hooded One, Iceberg, of course, is here. Mel, Jesse's Brick Galaxy. Hi, welcome. JMW Music, hi. Joel Marbella, John Luttrell, Matthew Builds Bricks is here. Minifig Chick is in the chat, but Minifig Nick, Monica Berry, and Moto. My T-shirt. That has to happen soon.
Oh, of all of them?
The blank and blank and blank and blank.
Oh, yeah.
Orange Bricks is here. Patrick Wismer, Rob Zaccardi, and the Zaccardis. Rob, Elena, Lana, and Vanessa. How's it going? Shane Levan is here.
Hey, Shane.
Smoke Up Johnny, WGJL Builds, Whisper Runner, Wilfred is here. Bonsoir. And I'm just going to say Kim, because it makes me feel better.
She's ever present.
She is ever present, and I am so appreciative of that. She's been around from the beginning. Like, what an amazing, fun, supportive, just kind person. So, Adventures in 3D Printing. This is going to come out a little.
Oh wow! Super chat.
It's not going to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you,
thank you for a super chat. I didn't see it. Hasn't come up here. There
Oh,
it
there it
is.
is. Oh,
Thank you,
thanks,
Shane. Thank you. I printed this Lego gold nugget last night.
Yeah.
I am so excited. This is so awesome. And here, I'll do this. So there it is.
Heck yeah.
It's rezzing into and out of reality a little bit.
So I'm very.
So pretty.
It's right. it's really cool. And I got this. I got this from my Animal Crossing group.
I was gonna say that you got that from Jeff, right?
Yeah, Kelly. I was talking with Jeff and Kelly posted it up for me, and he also has the from Animal Crossing the star fragments. So in Animal Crossing, when you wish on a falling star, the next day star fragments appear on your beach, and there's a model of the star fragment, which I definitely want to do. But yeah, this is cool. So I did a gold one yesterday. I'm going to try a silver one next. And then I'm trying to figure out how I can do this without infill, and I'm not sure if you can, but if I can figure out how to do it, I want to do it in Amy's Blood of My Enemies transparent red, because it would be
and then we'll light
amazing, and then light it from the inside.
Yes.
So
I think it's funny that how our Animal Crossing chat has like morphed into, Lego, Genshin, 3D printing.
I know, and curse you got me. Now I just started Genshin Impact. It's all your fault. I'm so mad about it. But yeah, I gotta say that. So and if you're on our Discord, and if you want to join the Discord, you can talk to Minifig Chick, and she can pass it on to me. Or there's various ways. We're trying to make it easier to sign up for the Discord for people. Just kind of sorting out that now, but I did just add a 3D printing channel onto our Discord because I felt like, I love Discord, but it needs threaded messaging really badly. It's like the one feature that I can't believe they haven't adopted yet. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming for me. I just have to check in on like an as needed basis because I have too many. There's too many like things going on, and there's a Discord for all of them.
Hey, and Alyssa's here. Hi, Alyssa.
And Remy Baker has experience getting sucked into
Genshin Impact. Yeah.
I finally just leveled up enough that I can play in co-op mode. So we played in co-op with the Animal Crossing people like last night for the first time. It was super fun.
Oh my gosh!
It's like a harmonic convergence of different nerdisms.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. It's funny. Again, we talk about a lot of, or I do anyway. I talk about the Venn diagram of
exactly
things and how they all sort of like Lego is the one in the middle, but now there's all sorts of extra ones that are coming along. So
yeah, the crossover is unreal. Yeah.
Well, I was just so how exciting to find other 3D printing people, because that's been something I've been doing a lot of lately, is trying to connect with new people. And of course, Amy has introduced me to a bunch of people on Twitter. Like, Twitter's a big hive of activity for 3D printing people.
Oh yeah.
And I'm amazed by the stuff I'm seeing people make. Like Amy just printed a full wearable Mandalorian helmet. Like there's a lot of them. Believe me, there's a lot of patterns out there. But
but Flynn, no one has a human-sized Lego lightsaber.
You guys, back on the topic of Lego, Brickworm just pointed out something in the chat.
What's that?
Michael's clearance right now.
Yep. Dots.
Oh, really?
Yes, the dots on clearance. This was like what, $2, $4, something like that.
Holy cow!
$2 and the extra dots packs are $1.
Wow.
So you guys need some shopping to do if you're in the US.
Well, when we were at the Lego store yesterday, they had an entire full shelf of hidden side sets on sale. Like
the new ones, though?
Like the last two waves, the final two waves.
Are
like
you serious?
all of them.
Because I can't find that Mystery Castle anywhere.
I don't know that I saw the clear.
They were smaller,
I wasn't paying attention if I saw that one or not. Honestly.
Yeah, that one's been elusive for me. I'm kind of bummed about it.
Before it gets too late, what pins are you guys wearing today?
Oh yeah, pins. Well, it's never too late for pins. Yes.
Well,
you want to go first, honey? All right.
yeah, I'll go. I have a. Let's see here.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna have to.
Oh,
There.
all right. Thanks, Clicky, for helping with the focus.
Hang
Oh,
on.
right in your. Here, I'm gonna pull it
Oh, no, go back.
out of people's faces.
No, go back.
No, Oz.
There
There
you
you go. Look, in case you couldn't tell for the 10 minutes it was up there.
That was manual
It's
focus.
Oswald. Hi.
Hi. And
Hey,
then
we're a little
this is
rezzing out for a moment.
There it is.
I am
Oh,
so
no.
excited. Oh, she's the green part, of course.
Yeah.
Oops.
Manually,
go.
check that out.
She's wearing a blue dress. But the awesome rainbow Tinkerbell that I got from Minifig Chick yesterday, and I want to wear it. Like this was like the only pin I ever need now. Like
Here, I'll help you out. It's that one.
Yes,
Yay.
thank you. Yay.
But that's not my pin. My pin today is going to be Expedition Everest.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. I have an Expedition Everest Fast Pass pin.
That's my favorite ride at Disney World. That's a good one.
He always yells whenever there's a Yeti or a Sasquatch abominable snowman.
Oh, well, we've told you this story, right? Like when we went for our 5-year anniversary, Expedition Everest was like a thing we wanted to go on, and I love and am terrified by roller coasters, and I'm also, and I know it's like cheesy, but the Yeti in the Matterhorn on ride at Disneyland still scares the crap out of me every time. Like, I have to close my eyes. It's terrifying.
That's ridiculous.
I know, but I just, for whatever reason,
No, he's like 6
freaks
years
me out.
old. When we ride that, he's like 6.
first time we went on Expedition Everest, for whatever reason, I was having such a good time, but I practically closed my eyes for the entire ride and laughed, and I was just screaming and laughing the entire time. And then we ended up having to ride it again
because he hadn't seen it.
because I didn't actually see the ride because I was just like closed my eyes screaming the entire time. Oh my goodness. And I don't know what it is. You know, I think part of it is and this has been ever since I was a kid. I am really, like everybody has like the things that they're scared of. I'm really scared of things that are like monumentally larger than myself. Like that really, like, it's my whole monster movie, thing. Like, just like big giant monster.
The Kraken.
That thing comes flying out of nowhere. I'm sorry.
Now, according to Hooded One, it's fake.
It's not though. It's not though. That's the thing. You think that, but it's in a different place every time. Explain that. All right.
It's an illusion.
I'm making good progress on this D-tiling.
Very good. Oh, good. We'll have to put those away.
We can null them all.
Oh my goodness. Well, so we actually have a thing to talk about today. So I was talking with Moto this morning about what we might talk about, and we had a couple of ideas. But this one kind of builds on the idea that we were talking about last weekend. We were talking about collaborative builds and what makes a good collaborative build and how you can, do that. And I know, like, we're not going to conventions right now, but I had this feeling that when it does finally happen, that people are going to be flocking to them, and there's going to be a lot of first timers.
I think you're right.
Yeah, people who discovered it, online in the last 9 months.
Exactly. So I thought it would be a really good idea to kind of talk about building for conventions versus building at home or for a camera. And there's also, there's lots of things to talk about here. And I know one of the big ones, of course, is once you get the thing built, how do you transport it?
I was gonna say transport. It was the first thing that came to mind. Yeah.
So
breaking
absolutely.
out.
Well, and there's so much more involved. Although, of course, you do. Once you bring your piece to the convention, you definitely have a hand in how much or how little you want to be involved. Like, you can literally put your mock on the table and walk away, or you can hang out behind it and talk to people during the convention about your piece, which I know a lot of people really like to do. But there's other people who would just rather drop it and go, which I
and also there are a lot of, like, I'm trying to think of all the things I was unprepared for when I first started going to cons, and there's actually a lot. And one of them is that I wasn't really aware of how things line up as far as the activities. So there's a lot of activities going on all day, every day during the convention. So it's actually kind of difficult to participate in the activities and spend time with the public by your mock. Although I was mostly promoting an ideas project at every convention I went to. And so I definitely prioritized being with my mock and interacting with the public, and thoroughly enjoyed it for, little chunks at a time. But I always tried to make sure that I would schedule at least a couple of activities each day so I could also, interact with other AFOLs and get to know other AFOLs too.
Right. We've definitely now we've had both experiences where we brought a small piece and we put it on the table and we spent the entire time hanging out with people and seeing other people's work. We saw all the other people's work, which was awesome.
That too.
And buying too many, things.
But then we had two experiences, and one in particular where we were, basically babysitting the piece the entire time.
Which is how we got to know each other so well.
It is true.
Because we were set up near each other and we were both at our posts through the whole con, and we would just
we traded battery packs too, didn't we?
What's that?
Yeah, there was battery
chargers, battery packs.
Chargers. Yeah, it was a whole thing. And and I know that Holly still every night before she goes to sleep hears the Peter and the Wolf as she's drifting off.
Not before she goes to sleep. It's all she listens to in her
But
it haunts her in her dreams.
But I did want to say, so the thing is though, when talking about conventions, I think we should start kind of at the beginning of the process, when you're actually building. So what are you going to build? Are you going to build something small and just that you can carry in a box and carry there? How close or far is your convention?
And of course, everyone should do that and only bring reasonable things to the convention that they can easily carry and will never break apart in transport.
Right. That's always how it starts. And then you also have to take into account if you have to fly to a convention. That's a whole nother level.
And flying, and we've done that too. We can talk about that. But it really starts in the planning stage. And if you're going to bring something large, and we learned this when we were doing California Dreamin', and then to a larger extent Snake Queen, is you need to build modularly.
You have to build pieces that you can transport.
Because if you make some big giant thing, it's just not feasible. You're limited by the size of your car or whatever box.
Oh, it's feasible. It just takes infrastructure. Trust me.
Yeah.
You brought really big pieces too, right, Moto?
Oh yeah. There's nothing small I bring. I'm the opposite of Holly. I'm the antithesis of Holly.
Well, I mean, I've displayed big as well, so that's how I've learned my lessons.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
I do. I notice at the conventions, especially cities are very popular as well as train.
Of course.
But cities, yes, it's very much take that modular idea from Lego and you build everything so it can be disassembled in either, what do I say, the floors of the building.
Buildings
even splitting, even splitting the stuff so it locks together side by side is a great way to do it.
Yeah, and also knowing your I'm going to tell on Richard a little bit here, although I think you've heard this before. Know your space that you're going to be transporting in. When we were building Snake Queen, Richard must have measured the front door, our mock, and the back of the car. I don't know how many times. Just making sure it was going to go. It was going to fit.
There was the big central piece fit into the
we
car.
Built it to just be
with its packing crate and all that.
And that's the other thing too. Don't forget to add in extra space for packing material.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whether you're going to build like we had to build a box, and I know, Moto knows all about building custom boxes.
I was going to say I was going to go pull one.
Yeah, I mean, like building a custom box is a really good idea. So be prepared for that.
You know what else you need room for when you're planning your mock to take to the convention with all of its packing? Room to bring a bunch of stuff back from the convention.
Yes.
True.
Room.
So you know what I used actually that I ended up using it for the Coraline house for plane ride, and then it ended up being like my convention bag. It's a camera backpack, so it's meant for packing camera equipment. So
Right.
all the little modular like Velcro
Yeah,
dividers.
lens compartments. Yeah.
Yes, that you can make compartments, and fortunately I built something very with a lot of 90-degree angles, so I just had little square chunks that I was packing in between those compartments, and it worked beautifully.
Those adjustable apartments with the Velcro dividers are great.
Yeah.
And I would also say make some room to bring some extra bricks, because you just never know.
Yeah,
We tend to overdo that.
Think about it like a repair kit.
It's
right?
so funny because I just pulled this out yesterday looking for some parts. This was my emergency kit for Susan.
Oh, cool.
You can't tell, but there's like a ton of different little Ziploc bags in here of different types of parts, and that was in case because he was a lot of like dark orange and olive green and some other like parts that were kind of hard to find, that if you lose a piece you might be scrambling to try and replace it. So I always had emergency kits for my mocks and like in those bags.
Yeah, we
how
did
about
too.
leaving
One of
enough
my-
time to get all the bricks in that you're going to need for your piece, so you're not freaking out the night before? Well, you're going to
you're always
the
gonna
night
freak
before
out
the
the night
convention
before.
anyway.
Yeah, and if you're doing functions, extra batteries, extra battery packs,
extra
chargers.
functions if you can.
Yeah, if you have a
Cables.
spare motor.
Yeah, that was the one thing I forgot. I made it all the way over to Denmark and had somehow forgotten to pack extra lighting material. So I snapped a wire when I was putting my mock back together.
Ooh.
I know, I snapped a wire, and it was like one that pretty much made the whole second floor light up. And I was like, we were all there they were like, you should have seen it. It was like a emergency scene where there were like 10 people there all trying to figure out.
Make sure
It's a
that
game
you have
of
brick
operation,
separators.
and no one was winning.
Yeah. No, we fixed it. Somebody fixed it. I can't remember who.
Definitely make sure you have brick separators.
Yes.
And
Tweezers.
This is a really great. Tweezers are a great tool.
A headlamp is great.
Headlamp is good if you've got to get inside. But I'll tell you the best way, and I think especially for a con, if you can put that clicky on the end of one of those retractable. Those things you clip to your belt loop, and it's like got a retractable thing like you swipe your card with when you work at a tech company. Those we
like
drilled
one of those seat things.
Yeah, we drilled a hole into a clicky and put it on the clip, and you will never lose that brick separator. It will always be right there for you, and it works out really
I just
nice.
always have them in my pockets. Always.
Yeah, I have one on my. I put it on my car keychain.
I am terrible about like fiddling with things and then putting them down, and I would never be able to have it in my pocket without I'd never be able to have it in my pocket without taking it up. Yes, I have a pink one too.
My con kit.
So,
I keep my so let's see what's in here.
I want to say, so normally there's all the repair kit stuff, there's the tools, but then also there's the cleaning kit that goes with it. So normally you need a medium-sized brush and then the keyboard slime.
Yeah, normally.
Very good, Moto. I forgot about that cleaning kit.
So here's a makeup brush that's like has a cap and it's retractable. So that's like a makeup brush for removing dust and whatnot.
Yep.
So that goes in here. We have a bag of batteries.
Yep.
We have an
And
extra motor because
to have a battery tester if you can.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually. That's one thing I have like 2 sets of batteries in here.
They make little passive ones that are great. They're not, they're just simple little ones.
And then I have these tweezers.
Tweezers are essential.
Extra motors because motors will always die only at conventions.
Yep.
Extra extension cables if you can.
Yeah, I think I do. And then I've got my, my lanyard, of course.
Yep.
On bags. I've got a Sharpie in here for some reason.
Always
I finally learned my lesson and packed extra circuit boards and lights.
Very good.
Oh, I reckon.
Scissors, tape.
Yes.
I've got a little little handy like screwdriver type
Very cool
thing. Brick separators, of course.
Where's your cell phone charger?
Yes, cell phone charger.
Cell phone charger. Everybody forgets cell phone charger.
And a battery bank too is something that I need to remember to keep in here.
Right.
You know what else I do?
This is our now. I know we've shown this a lot, but this is our tool. It's a little keyboard vacuum. I personally like it better than a brush, but brushes work for a lot of people. But this thing is fantastic and does great work. And I think in combo with the keyboard slime, it's kind of the perfect pairing in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I would say for larger pieces because it means that you're not chasing the dust from the center of the model all the way to the edge of the model with the brush.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm so smart. I even have a little pin back, an extra pin back in here.
Yay! Very good. What was that you had, Moto?
I was going to say the tweezers matter. I like the ones that are angled.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yep.
And then these ones actually have a way to close them if you grab.
Oh, nice. Super useful.
Another thing that some people don't have because it's more specialty, but they're really handy, is these are medical hemostats with forceps that click.
Yeah, because they lock, right?
Yeah, because they lock, and then if you're working on something like my wolf, you need one like this.
Oh my!
And that's an automotive thing too.
Are those tweezers in your pocket or?
Yes,
exactly.
And then aquarium tweezers are what we used as well. Like something just like if you need really long, like you really need to get inside something, the really long ones are great.
Yeah, and some people do this, some people don't. It's optional, but I know if you are doing bulk Lego organizing, I would say go ahead and get a dental kit. Because if you get like a 1x1 plate stuck way down in the brick, that's what's going to get it out. And also, if you're doing something really detailed and you have to, you can get a mirror into your model.
Wow!
And that's another reason why it's good to have a headlamp, right?
Yeah.
I love a headlamp.
You know, one of the tools that I find really essential, and I mean, I use this in my life, period, but a reasonable length checklist before you go so that you don't forget the battery or the spare bricks and just check it off because you're going to be thinking about a million things. Plus there's all the social stuff you're getting ready to do.
And I would say too, like, even though we talked about making things modular, I would try and think about making that modularity as few pieces as possible. Because our very first mock, like, we had no idea what we were doing. That California Dreamin' thing, got every single one of those 16 base plates got its own box, and it was like a lot of it was more than it needed to be. Like we could have made them a little bit bigger and still,
It also meant that we had a lot of assembly on site when we would have preferred to be hanging out with people.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is you don't really want to spend your whole like Thursday or Friday like setting up. And the other thing to know that I was not well prepared for is breaking down. They don't give you the same kind of time to break down.
No, it's right after awards and everyone's pushing you out the door.
Yeah, you've never seen anything until you've seen like a convention come down in like 30 minutes. It's really overwhelming like the first couple of times because you feel like the anxiety of like, get your stuff and go. So, and there's a tendency to just, want to just drop your stuff in a bin. But if you've got another convention in a week, you
better do it right.
Yeah.
So Jesse's Brick House, bring your brand business cards or a banner. That's always great.
So for Lego Ideas, so that was another thing that was in my con kit is I still have a little stack of cards that I made to promote the Ideas thing. And then I made, is it still over here? Actually had it over here as of until like last week, I think. I made a little business card holder to put the cards in, to put next to the mock in case I wasn't there.
Yeah, and here's some other things, just from shows that I've noticed. Well, the lug, has tried different ways to engage people. A small URL is always easier than a QR code. People very rarely will use the QR code if you're using...
I don't know. I beg to differ on that. I've actually... I guess it depends. It depends.
If you put UTM parameters into your QR code versus like a short domain, like denlug.net, people will inevitably type denlug.net way before they open the entire camera and go to the QR code setting.
Okay, I've had the opposite experience.
It's like that fast.
I did without the QR code first, and I would tell people just ideas.lego.com. And they just yeah, okay, sure. But you have a QR code on there, and people on the spot would actually pull their phone out and actually snap it right there. And I watched people in real time actually voting for it. So I guess it depends, but I had much more success with QR codes.
It may be that ideas added to that as well.
Probably, yeah. That's maybe a different beast, but
right.
I
also would say I found it was a lot easier to have the Instagram thing printed out as well for Instagram, instant Instagram account from the phone, because a lot of people have Instagram accounts and it's native to that thing where you can take the image of the whatever code they have to immediately pull the profile.
There they are. There's the little cards that I made. So there's just the picture.
There you go.
Right. I had them facing one way on one side, and then there's like the QR code on the back. So it has like a little go here
nice.
Or whatever, and that's how I was getting votes.
Cool. Very cool.
Actually, you don't really, and that's another thing. I know this kind of goes into ideas territory. You don't get votes for ideas via conventions. That's not really how it works. I mean, those never amounted to more than a handful of votes. But what the conventions do help you with in ideas is it's just exposure, and so it gets it out there. So then Beyond the Brick comes by, and then they do a little piece on it, and then that goes on. Once it gets online, once there's a link online in front of people, you get a lot more votes. So when you're at the convention, people generally aren't going to stop for more than a minute at a time to look at any one thing because it's so overwhelming. And it's kids are dragging their parents, and it gets kind of chaotic. But there's been a couple of opportunities that I've had, like that one person that takes an interest in it, they post it online, and then it starts to get a bunch of hits. And if it hadn't have been at the convention, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we need to pause.
Time. She's been waiting.
The pause that refreshes. Everybody, please give a big warm welcome to our very, very special guest.
Yay! Casual today.
Yay, Logan. And Splishy and Splashy are both here, and Skittles. It's a banner day. All right.
That's a good one.
Logan.
You want another one?
Logan.
Skittles Snuggles. Say hi, Skittles.
Hi, Skittles.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Skittles.
Yay, Logan.
You want another one?
Hi, everyone. Oh, hi. Oh, we missed it. There you go.
Yay. Good boy, Logan. Oh, put the lid on.
Girl.
Let's smell it out.
I know.
All right.
He's a good girl.
Okay, buddy.
She came by around like 10:15 and was looking at me expectantly. So her timing was a little off today.
Oh, Bubba. That was Logan cookie time, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. All right.
One thing I was going to mention that I do that I don't see a lot of people doing, but really helped me, is in front of every model, I bring a printout, and I've got the professional photograph of the model, and then I put the name of it, I put the hours it took, I put the number of pieces, and I put the start date, the end date, and the layout.
Yay! Yay!
So basically, you just want zero interaction with like other people. Is that what it is?
No. I want high interaction with the kids and people who don't care about the technical aspect of the model, more about having fun.
Because what are the 3 questions?
How long did it take? How many pieces were there? And then kind of like, I don't know, like what is it and what's the story?
What is it? Yeah.
Can you buy this? Are there instructions?
Yeah. I do have a thing with me as the artist, and I always put all custom creations by Moto and yada yada, and I put my bio. But yeah, because I can never remember. Someone's like, "When did you make that?" I go, "I don't know, but it's down there in front." And
did you use glue? Yeah. Yes, Blair. That's that's common.
Oh yeah, did you use glue? Yes.
Oh, one thing that's good to remember, I think, especially if you're making smaller work.
I didn't. I used solvent.
I'm thinking that people are going to see this from behind partitions, right? So they're going to be they're not going to be their face right on it. They're going to be 3 feet away at least. And if you're on a table with a bunch of other pieces, how is your piece going to,
stand out?
Show, yeah, exactly.
And that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I definitely wanted to talk about was like size. Like we were talking before about using, like, yes, you can bring small things, and yes, you can bring big things, but do remember that, yes, if your piece isn't really big enough to that it like takes up the table or half the table or is very tall or something like that,
because it's not on screen, right? It's not zoomed in on screen.
It's not zoomed in on a screen. People are going to be looking at it from at least a couple feet away. I mean, like the public. And that's something I think that people, when especially first timers to conventions, don't think about even up until the public comes in, because the stanchions don't get set up for the public until towards the end. And I remember, even though
like Saturday morning,
ours are there. Ours are there the minute you go in a day ahead. They're already up, and we
not the conventions I've been to.
I know, like the first time, even though I knew, like I had in my head, like, yes, people are going to be standing back from the stanchion, it still didn't hit home to me until it was entirely set up, and then the stanchions got set up.
It's a long way.
It's actually much further away than I thought. So having
ours are only like this far away. We only get 1.5 feet, so everybody can reach and touch your model. That's how close they put them up in ours. Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's
because it only takes
no good.
One person, be they very small or just not thinking, to just reach.
Yeah, and just never underestimate the public.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I figured out, like, because each convention I went, I'm glad I took like the same mock to more than one convention, because I figured things out with every single convention I went to. Like the very first one I went to, where I set up the Coraline house, the first thing I figured out was that you couldn't see anything inside, because all the lighting is like down lighting. And like you said, you're standing so far back from it. I realized, like, oh, there's all this interior detail that nobody can see.
Right.
And then I also had
all the light is from above.
Exactly. So I ran, luckily Rob from Brick Stuff was there at the convention as a vendor. So I ran over there and and got like a starter kit or something, which fortunately I had lit like sets before. So I already knew how to like run all the wires and the circuit boards and stuff. But it was pretty crazy, because it was like Friday night and I'm there running lights through my monitor. And people are trying to come by and talk to me, and I'm just, because it's my first convention and everybody's being very nice and welcoming, and I'm like, yeah, don't bother me right now.
Right. I was going to say, so it sounds like our conventions are very different than the standard Lego convention you guys go to.
Well,
one of the things that I do at a convention is all of my large models on the stands are always further back on the table.
Yeah.
Because the barriers are so close. And then what I do is I'll put the smaller models in front, and they're the ones the kids will attack. So I actually have a sacrificial model in the front.
Yeah.
That's going to get nuked first, because you don't want the big ones to go down. You can do that.
Yeah. Like I know Kat had she had a really elaborate Hogwarts setup. And at Bricks Cascade this year, and she had a little table out front that she would take one of the buildings and put it down on the little stool so the little kids could see it. And she was there on hands with it, make sure nothing was getting completely dismantled. But yeah, she would let the kids like interact with it and stuff. So there's
that's another thing. Yeah, Holly, I have like a spaceship with a shuttle on it, and I always take the shuttle off and then I hand it to the kids if they want to touch it. But I said if you touch this, you have to make flying sounds with it and swoosh it around. That's the only condition I have.
You just need to make it clear. It just needs to be clear to, especially the kids, that it's generally a no-no. Like they're only allowed to touch, what you're allowing them to touch. You don't want them to get the idea that it's okay.
No, I said you can't touch anything at this convention except for my spaceship. Do you want to touch it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I hand them the little spaceship and they love to fly it around. Sometimes because my stuff switches, I will pick it up and I'll walk around the barrier and I'll take it into the crowd and display it if the kids aren't too small. And they can
Wilfred, some of our conventions are they can get really big. There's small ones and big ones, but the big ones are pretty big.
Well, kind of going
Chicago's
along with that,
from what I've heard.
I think thinking about who is going to be seeing, and this is going along with what we're talking about, who's going to be seeing it and where they're going to be seeing it from. Yeah. We, both with California Dreamin' and with, especially with Snake Queen,
from the start,
we really wanted to make it accessible to everyone to see, and parts of it were really reliant on you being a small person and being down where you could see some, like our parting tree curtain was a gorgeous effect and it looked okay from above, but if you actually got down at table level and watched that thing open, it was a whole different experience. And we also knew like the kids may not be able to see all the stuff that was happening up at the top of the model, so we made sure that like everybody who saw it
had something to see
at some visual level, had something special that they could, like that they would see, that an effect that would work for them on that level.
And you guys always bring hardware store shims, right, with you?
Yeah, and
I do.
If I haven't done that, I always have gaff tape with me, so I make my own shims out of gaff tape.
Well,
I have gaff tape.
Shims are so useful.
Yeah, there's little wooden shims that you get at hardware stores and blister packs.
Yeah,
that is standard part of my kit as well, and it did get mentioned because the table heights don't exactly align.
That can be so terrible.
You always have to shim the legs up to make them completely level if you want to do a railroad or anything with a city that's continuous.
Yeah, what's important about that too is especially if you are using mechanics, or if you have a train layout, that will 100% affect the function of your model. And we learned that when we did Snake Queen the second time. So like we took that apart and rebuilt it multiple times. So we built it, took it apart, took it to Bricks by the Bay, put it up, took it down again, brought it home, put it back up, did a whole bunch of like fixing of things.
Version 2.0 of a lot of mechanics.
Version 2.0, took it back apart, took it to Bricks LA, put it up again, took it down again, brought it home and put it up again.
One last time.
Yeah, there was a lot of taking up and putting down. And what we learned between Bricks by the Bay and Bricks LA, we brought it home and I was like, I don't understand. Suddenly the village train thing isn't working anymore. Like it's coming around the corner and then all of a sudden it's slowing down. I can't figure out what it is. It never did this before. And
we looked at everything. We serviced the motors.
Did you bring out a level?
That was later because it wasn't. It wasn't something that we were thinking of that would have an effect. Because looking at it, I do realize a train takes, it slows down and when it goes up a hill. But when you're talking about a layout that big and it was just this one tiny area and we couldn't figure out, but yes, it turned out that our table was kind of slanting backwards towards that corner, and it wasn't by much. Yeah, but it was enough.
No, we're talking like a quarter inch.
So that is one thing is, cell phones come with levels. So physically bringing a level, I've seen that done too. But one thing for the lug is the first thing you do before you do any setup, if you're the first person there, is you break out the level. You start shimming everything flat because if you're doing a GBC, especially.
Oh yeah.
The precision on a GPC for some of the handoffs, I mean, you try to get it close. So you never build a GBC where you need millimeters. But I'd say like you want to get everything within 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch with base plates. You want to get every table completely level and uniform for some of that stuff.
There's another thing that I do around the same time as figuring, and I actually haven't used, well, I guess we did at Bricks LA. We had a level there. But I go under the table, especially if it has been pre-covered by the staff, and I ensure that those legs are locked. Because I've gotten there and had them not be locked, and you can have a whole table go down, which is, and it helps to make, be really nice and courteous and welcoming and helpful to the theme coordinator, who's going to help be responsible for the display of your pieces.
I think that's the other thing too. There is, while there is generally a rule that you never touch anybody else's mock, like that's pretty much like the overarching general rule. Do know that if you are coming and bringing your thing and putting it down on a table and walking away, it's probably going to get moved, and not out of like any like somebody doing something bad, but because you have a theme coordinator that has to lay things out. Other people's things also have to be on the table. And if you're very particular about the way that you want yours shown or moved or whatever, make sure that you have a good relationship with your theme coordinator. Those people work really, really hard. They have a lot to think about. So communicating with them in a positive, in a positive, supportive way is going to go really far, honestly, for like how well your mock gets shown.
Yeah, I concur. Being nice to your theme coordinator goes a long way, because I had, I've really only displayed 2 big mocks so far, and they both had kind of high needs.
Right.
And one of them in particular, like I think Susan was the hardest one, because it required a rig to keep it from like falling forward, because it's really, really top heavy. It's just the design of what I was modeling after. That's like, we had to use rigs on our puppets too, because it was the same problem. So I just wanted to make sure it didn't like fall over, because it definitely would without some kind of support. And the rig basically needed to be tied down to the edge of a table. So it really needed to set back on the back of the table and needed to be positioned where, you could still see it and all that. So although it was, actually trying to get something set on the back of the table is less of an issue than.
Yeah, I know.
So it was a good problem to have. And with the Coraline house, the issue that I really struggled with was there were a few besides the light. Once I resolved the lighting issue, it was like, do I want to show the front of it, or like the exterior or the interior? And do I want to have it closed or opened? And so so I kind of wanted to have it like on a corner so that people could basically see the back of it from one angle and see the front of it from another angle. So I put in a very gentle request that if I could possibly have like a corner spot, I would really appreciate it for that reason.
Great there.
But then I finally figured out after a couple of cons too that it was best to just put it on a turntable. So I had a little motorized turntable so that it was constantly, very slowly turning. And that was really cool, because people would actually stop and like wait, for it to turn. So they were really like taking a very good look at it to try and see.
I need to talk to you afterwards on how to get a turntable like that, because I want to put my models on turntables.
Amazon, man. Like I thought I was going to, for a minute, I was going to build one. I was like, oh, I guess I could build a Technic motor, turntable thing. And then I was like, oh, wait, they just make those for $20. I'll just buy one.
Yeah.
And then I put,
I'm realizing my conventions are completely different than yours, because we don't have themes. But when we plan a con, you get a half table or full table unit, and it's yours, but you have to fill it. So there is always kind of this pressure of where you have to bring enough stuff to fill that amount of volume. And we try to keep people with common building styles next to each other, so it transitions fairly well. Like all the fantasy goes on one side, all the space goes on another. There's Space Island, Fantasy Island, then you've got Train and City kind of in its own area. But it's very much not like everybody's going to bring a model and lay it in kind of thing.
Well, I think too, it's important. Again, depending on how you're set up, if you're working on something that's really large, that's going to take up like our California Dreamin' piece took up 2 full tables that had to be put together to make a square. Like, let your theme coordinators know as early as possible.
Before the convention.
Don't just show up with it. Like, definitely, like, make sure they know and that they have a space for it. And I think that's, again, like, communication with your theme coordinators is important.
Power too.
Yes, making sure and letting them know, do you need to be near power? Do you need a plug?
Power's a big one, actually. That's really tricky.
Bring long extension.
I was gonna say an extension cable should probably be in your con bin or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring some way to fasten the cable to the table or tape it down to the floor.
It is a tripping hazard.
People will trip on it and they can pull your model off the table.
Yeah.
And also injure themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's a logistics that goes into this. So once you've packed for the convention and you've got all your stuff, you're going to want these things that you can easily find, like in any big box retail store, but they're used for beaches or gardening. They have a frame and they collapse down and they expand back out, and they have these big tires.
They're garden carts.
I have one.
Yeah, it's either a garden cart or a beach cart, depending on the branding and whatnot.
I understand.
We have one of those. Yep.
Yeah,
so I think everybody I know, I think has one of those. Although it did take too long.
If someone's new to the con experience, you're going to want to save up and buy one of those carts.
Yeah.
And then your boxes should be able to fit within the dimensions of that cart. You don't want to, because mine go over the sides of the cart. I have certain boxes that are beyond the dimensions of that cart. And then you start getting into bungees and stuff. But so you get your cart, you transport everything in. I believe the convention at our thing is once you've set everything up, all of your packaging should fit back underneath the table. So that's another thing, is if you have a box that's literally too big to be put underneath the table, you're going to have to perform the logistics of getting it back into the vehicle and then rerunning the vehicle out to the parking lot to get it out of the way.
You know what's crazy is at Scarebeck, they actually don't allow anything under the tables. So you have to set up your mock and then everything, like, I was shocked. I was not at all like prepared for that situation. So I had my backpack, my little like travel camera bag that I had like my con kit and all my stuff in. And I can't even remember I think I had to take it back to the cabin. Like you weren't really allowed to keep anything at all in the convention hall. That was crazy.
Oh, and make sure that you label all of your stuff with your name on it, because not that anybody would maliciously take your stuff, but if there's 30 people's stuff crammed under a table,
it'll get moved.
And 12 of them are using bankers boxes and they all look the same and they're not labeled, like it can, somebody can accidentally grab something.
Or if you put a motor down somewhere or a charger and it gets really confused. Or if you let somebody borrow something, I know that happens all the time too. If you're letting somebody, I think that happened actually where I let somebody borrow a motor and just put a piece of tape on the bottom of it with my name on it so they knew where to return it.
Yep. Good idea.
I guess we already touched on this a little bit, but personally, I think more at a convention about that first view from a distance, that way to get someone to actually stop for a second.
The weenie.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I wouldn't ever discourage people from making small things or micropolis or whatever, but what's going to make someone look at your micropolis versus the 45 others that are around you?
You make it like hot pink.
Right? It makes sense. Like, why are you at the convention anyway? Is you want people to check out your stuff and hang out with other like-minded people, right? So it's good to get your piece noticed.
Yeah, I would say... so the conventions, the layouts that we go to, the tables are reserved for different lugs, just because it's regional. So one thing that really helps is having a really nice banner. If you have a professional designer that understands how to pull the eye from a distance rather than some busy mess of a logo, that is going to attract an audience to see that lug's content. There is a bit of professionalism there.
Now, how do you hang a banner?
I have a great way.
You hang it from the ceiling.
Our ceiling is like...
Yeah,
they're way up there. But there's union guys who can hang them.
You wouldn't see it though. Like at least at our convention hall, like the ceilings are so high you wouldn't even see it.
No, they put cords down and then the
I see what you mean.
Like at a big convention.
You just got to plan it with the union to set it up.
Yeah,
You know,
I
have
think
one.
it's like the kind of convention that you're talking about, Moto, and the ones that we go to definitely. I mean, I can tell are very different.
I think they're pretty different. Yeah.
Because
The other thing you do is you put the banner. I see the banner most often put on the front of the table.
You could do
Yeah.
okay, because that was going to be my suggestion. Is like I did have like flyers on the front, you know, where you can clip those to the skirts that run around the table or something. You could do that, but anything that's like you want to avoid putting anything. Well, I guess you don't really have to avoid it, but it can be difficult to figure out how to arrange a banner, whether it's behind the mock, because if you're next to other mocks, people might want to, you know, stand back there and like talk to the public. So you don't want to block anybody off. And then sometimes there's other, you know, there's like other stuff kind of there. It can be.
Well, I think,
the other thing I've seen is, you know, those mobile phone companies, they've got the bending wand with the piece of fabric down on a stand. That's another way to possibly do it, is to bend.
You know what we've done locally at Bricks by the Bay, and this would only work if you're traveling maybe in your car, like you can't fly with this. But if you go to a theatrical rental company, they rent bases, like lightweight, maybe 30 pounds, a base with a telescoping aluminum tube that goes up, and it's meant for putting up drapes at conventions or at, you know, like people's weddings and all that. And you get like a 6 to 10 foot cross arm on it. It goes together very easily, and you can hang your banner, and they're already made for that to go through the pocket in the top. But that's, again, you're not going to fly with that kind of stuff.
But realistically, when it comes down to the belt itself, what I've done, I guess it worked to my advantage, is whenever I do all the space stuff, right? But whenever I have a spaceship that's a large enough scale, I put it on the red base. So it's a consistent theme. So no matter what I'm building, I've got the ability to move the bases around. They're not welded into a certain pattern. So I can get around and have other people integrate space things with it. But at least, you know, there's a brightly colored base with a splash of white, always consistent from the table. So from a distance, it does look like it's one gigantic model. It's really not. It's just a number of smaller and medium-sized things. It's just that on the table they appear to be consistent.
It's kind of funny. It sort of amuses me, the thought that Moto has any need of banners to draw attention to his mocks.
No, I don't. That's why I said it's the lug. It's the lug. No, I mean,
I know. I was just
if I plonk that down on a table, I think it's going to be pretty obvious from a distance what it is. You know.
I guess, and that's kind of the differences in some of the conventions too. Like with like in Portland, we only have like 1.5 lugs here. So when you go to the Portland convention, pretty much, you know, most of the displays you're seeing there are either from somebody involved with Port Lug, or they're from out of town, and it's just mostly individuals, and very, very rarely is it like lug collaborations from other places. But then I went to like Brick World in Chicago, and it was very much more like organized by lug. Like that was how they were, instead of doing it by theme, they did it by lug, because there were so many lugs like present there together. So vastly different type of experience there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking scale, like the big spaceship, I had to make my own stanchions out of wood. And then I painted them Lego colors, and then I had the yellow rope from the hardware store that was Lego colored. And I had custom stanchions, literally. I had to request a footprint within the floor space to have the model freestanding.
Yeah. Well, and that's very important, because there's someone at every convention who reports to the fire marshal and makes sure that all the paths and everything is laid out in a way that people can safely get out. So if you have any kind of special need, whether it's floor space or on a corner, we like to be on a corner because we make things that are 3/4 round. You know, Blair Archer has an awesome way of displaying his mocks at a convention. He just puts it on and walks around.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, the wearables is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, he puts stuff on tables too, but he, like, so many people were just like moths to a flame when he had his like alien.
Yeah.
So I want to address this comment, because I've been seeing some chatter over here, and there were a couple of things I wanted to address, and one of them is kind of talking about like the intimidation factor of you know, some of the great mocks. And I will say, I'm actually starting to further embrace the like non-builder AFOL, because those exist too. There's a lot of AFOLs that aren't necessarily mock builders, and I know there's that's maybe controversial. I think some people figure that you're not a real fan. You know, there are the gatekeepers that say you're not a real fan of Lego unless you build MOCs. And I think that's 100%
No, that's not true.
That's not,
I can push
some of
back
the
on
most
that.
enthusiastic people I know. Abner comes to mind. Like Abner Finley is, as far as I know, not much of a MOC builder. I don't think he comes to shows displaying anything. Yep. Everybody knows him and loves him. He participates. He's always around, taking pictures and
he's truly a fan.
Well,
yeah,
and the Hanlons. The Hanlons.
Yeah, and the Hanlons, exactly. They're just there kind of embracing the community and just enjoying, the whole experience for what it is. So it is not, the convention is not 100% about what have you built? What do you have to show for yourself?
Yeah, there's not a pressure. There's not that kind of pressure. If you brought something great, if you didn't bring something great.
Well, there's
no
workshops and.
Although I will say, just like on a quick flip side to this is after we we did California Dreamin' and then we did Snake Queen, and then the next year we were like, we need a break, so we brought our werewolf clock, which was still like really fun and moved and everything, so many people came up to us and they're like, so what did you bring this year? Like literally doing this. What did you bring this year?
And we would tell them and they would be like disappointed.
I know, we would tell them.
That's true.
That's true. Oh, okay. So
yeah, you're probably, you might actually, like if you've never brought anything to a convention, you're probably better off just not.
No, I mean, you can bring.
I wouldn't say that.
We have someone in our lug who's incredible at making custom brickheads.
Oh, cool.
And brickheads are not the largest things in the world, but they bring and they unpack their little brickheads all. But what I love about it is it gets a lot of fan appreciation because brickheads themselves have a great following.
Yeah.
The kids will come up and be like, how do I get that brickhead, because it's one that's not produced. They're all custom, and then it opens the dialogue of, I make my own brickheads and you can too, and they have a great display
them nicely too. I've seen them displayed on like giant size spice rack kind of tiers, so even though they're small, you can see them on a table.
That's a good question right there.
Rookie says, how many it says conversations, I think he meant conventions, did you go to before you decided to submit a mock? One for us. It was one.
I'd been to a few because I had been to Bricks Cascade as a public attendee for several years, I think, and then I'd been to BrickCon as an attendee one year, many years ago, and had not. And even though I was a huge fan of Lego, I did not really even consider. First of all, there was the mystery of how do you get involved. How do you become a part of it? So there was that kind of unknown factor that kept me from really like jumping in. Mm-hmm. And then part of it also was because I wasn't much of a MOC builder. I was really more of a collector and a set builder. And I none of the MOCs that I had built I would have ever considered as like exhibit worthy. So I really had, and again, I wasn't really aware of all the other activities and perks and things that kind of also go along with the convention. So I really kind of just had this impression that it really was just about showcasing your work, which it's not. Now I know that, now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, it's not all about that. It really is just any fan of Lego can come and have fun with other fans of Lego. That's really all it is. But it's kind of hard to know that as a public attendee when you're just kind of going there, like it's almost like a museum. You're just going around looking at all this cool work. You really don't see what's going on behind the curtain. So really wasn't until I was doing the ideas thing that I had to promote that then I started to kind of figure it all out.
My story's even stranger. So I built my first mock and then it got featured. But I was walking through the Denver Pop Culture Convention and ran into the Lego area of it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. There's all this custom stuff I never knew. And one of the guys approached me, started talking, and it turns out they were part of a lug, and I had no idea what a lug was. So I'm like, oh man, how do you get into this thing? And he's like, well, what do you do? And I said, I pulled up the Brothers Brick and I said, I just recently did this thing. I got featured. Is that good? And of course he kind of lost his marbles a bit and then immediately recruited me into the lug. And then that's why the first convention It just took one before I started displaying because it was turning out I was building stuff, I was mocking, but I didn't know that there were conventions. I wasn't even that self-aware that there were conventions where you could display Lego stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
kind
it's
of
the other way
happened in
around for
reverse.
us. Like, I wasn't aware that there were Lego displays outside of the Lego specific conventions, and then I realized that like some of our comic book conventions and there's other events where we do displays as well.
Yeah, well, I'm in Denver. You know, it's a hotbed of Lego convention going because everybody can get here from the coast.
right.
You know, so
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it took us one. We went to one convention and we were like, "This is a thing," kind of like Moto, like this is a thing you can do.
We brought up
amazing.
PlayStation because we didn't think we were going to be doing anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
how naive.
Well, I mean,
so everybody, be sure you pack your PlayStation because you're going to get really bored in the middle of the convention.
we took a train, like we
No.
had no idea. So, and you know, of course, that absolutely changed the following year, but.
Well, people
was-
drew us in, though, right?
It was really inspiring. I found the whole event extremely inspiring and showed me kind of like what was possible in a way that you can't. I mean, and I hate to say this given the situation that we're all in, but it made me appreciate it in a way just seeing pictures online can't do. I mean, like, yes, seeing pictures online is very inspirational, but standing there and seeing the one that we saw that this guy had taken, it was a kid and his mom had built a whole like amusement park based on Metalbeard's Sea Cow. And it was enormous,
Like
and
bigger than a ping pong table, right?
Huge. And I was like, you can do this. You can build this big. Like you can build this big and bring it someplace.
Well, being there in the convention means you can walk around it and see this 3D medium in 3D.
And
Yeah.
interact with people too. So finding out, you know, because sometimes there's like interesting stories behind stuff that you never would know without having discussed something with the builder too. And it's either a story about what the build was about, or something that happened while they were building it, or
Techniques.
it's always a little something extra to be learned having interacted with people who build stuff.
I'll make an admission that was kind of nuts. So, right, none of us have been able to display our stuff for the last year. I finally had an AFOL over to my house doing a double mast, you know, sanitized, finally showing my stuff. And there is that piece of amazement when they come through the back door, and the first thing was they look at the wolf and like, holy crap, that's 3 times bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
getting up and being able to see the intricate details of some of the builds that I haven't been able to display for the last year, or some of the stuff I've cranked out, or being able to walk up to your mouse a lot and actually, you know, look inside of it. Or there is that beauty and wonder to having the physical object there, and all the construction that goes into it, and having it appreciated. Because, you know,
Well, and that doesn't mean that this is less than. This experience is an awesome way for us to all share Lego together.
Yeah.
But it just there's some magic wonder when you see it in front of you.
Well, and
And
also
sometimes you
too,
connect with people too, like, you know, if somebody builds something of a common interest, like say you're scrolling through Instagram and you see something that's like an Animal Crossing build, you're like, oh, that's cool. I like that because I like Animal Crossing. But if you go to a convention and you happen to interact with the builder who built the Animal Crossing thing, then it's a whole nother level of geek out. Like, oh, we're friends now. Like, you know,
Right.
it's totally different.
Well, yeah, and also too, when you're talking about something of a size,
Yeah.
you just 100% cannot get the idea of it in a picture. You just can't. Like seeing California Dreamin', I'm sorry I keep just saying these again, but these are like our biggest pieces. Seeing California Dreamin', seeing Snake Queen in a picture or a video, like you can say, ooh, ah, that's cool, but actually, and I mean, Holly, you saw it in person.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different experience seeing.
And honestly, like Snake Queen doesn't. There's no way to get Snake Queen across in its full glory without having like Flynn and Richard there interacting and like showcasing it and talking about what, you know, like that's, I think, part of what makes it magical. Really is
Right.
Well, really, it's a
I have some of the same stuff, right? I have the same stuff where I have the stanchions up and I'm standing behind them, and I'm standing next to a 2 meter, 7.5 foot tall freestanding spaceship.
Yeah.
That that kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't register until someone's coming down the escalator, because they always dump us near the escalators for some reason. But guests are coming down the escalators, and you kind of see them talking to each other. They do this, and then they do this, because they're like, "Oh, spaceship," and then they're like, "Spaceship," and then they don't even think it's Lego. But once they come closer and they realize or not realize it's Lego, that's another thing where it's like, these little teeny blocks are becoming this, really crazy thing you can walk up to.
Or when you turn around and you unexpectedly find Blair and all of his things.
Oh yeah, I can imagine what a wearable would be like.
That's an experience. Like, you have to be there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well, it was in the dark too, because he brought it out during dark, quiet, calm time.
Dark hour, yeah.
Well, and I want to say too, though, but I also don't want to minimize the amazing things people can do with mocks and photography.
Of course.
I mean, because we've all seen it.
And it's actually funny because anytime we talk about building for photography, Jonas Krom is always the first person that comes to mind. And he's and for several reasons. We were talking about cons and how to set up and kind of like essentially like advertise. And he's pretty brilliant. Like, when I saw his stuff at Scarebook the first time, he had set up like he'd taken up a whole half of a table with very small builds. Like, he generally builds pretty small, and he builds to camera. Like, he builds everything in like a square format, Instagram, style. And he even had built out of Lego a little like Instagram thing with like his name out on the table. Like whatever his Instagram name is, I think it's Jonas Krom or something. And it was like, I think he built the Instagram logo out of Lego, and each of his builds again was kind of like positioned in just a way that you could have captured any one of them and like square. It was just really brilliantly presented. And then someone like, it may have been Jonas himself or somebody else that kind of pointed out like how fragile they were. Like, he definitely doesn't build in a way that they're easily transportable or pushable or anything at all. Like, he really builds specifically for photographing, and
I feel like we could,
his existence.
I feel like we could do a whole show just on the differences between building for photography and like in person. Like, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And Blair brings up a good point. They have a whole photography theme now at Bricks Cascade, which is great. And I agree.
You won an award.
Yes, and I won a little trophy. But like that Alice in Wonderland and Dorothy on the other side of the mirror thing would not have worked in person.
Right.
Like, I would have had to build like a box around it and made people get and look right at that exact angle,
which we've seen.
Which I've seen.
I was going to say, you can totally pull that off. It's just a different.
Yay, Mono.
I want people to know what you're talking about.
Yes, yeah. So
that is a piece for a photograph.
That's a piece for a photograph. It was specifically made for a photo. So, but but I think it's. I think it makes sense to, and I know a lot of people don't work like this, but if you're going to be building for a convention, you really do need to do some planning. It does take planning. I know for some people, it's really easy to just like, I'm going to build this thing and bring it and drop it off and go,
which works for some people,
which totally works and is totally a valid way to do it. But if you really are going to go for the full on, like convention warrior experience, you really do need to do some serious planning. And I feel the more you are able to plan that way, the better your mock is going to look and be received.
Yes. And the better experience you have. Like, I can't quite get it across like emphatically enough, like how much you really want to make it a good experience, like for yourself and others. So you really don't want to stress yourself out on Friday, like, or Thursday, whenever you're there setting up, if and when it's like hard to even imagine like this ever happening again. It's like, we're so far removed from it, but
I know that it will.
That's the biggest thing, is like, you want to be able to kind of get in there and set up really as quickly and painlessly as possible, so that you can kind of get on with like enjoying the show. And if you're I I've seen you guys. I've seen you there freaking out at convention.
Oh,
yeah.
Time. And it kind of like, it almost like I think when you guys, after you guys were trying to set up that Adventureland sign, I think that was the same night that you guys ended up staying at my place. And I just remember you guys being so wiped out. It was like you couldn't enjoy anything.
Well, and we had also just driven all day. Like, or no, wait, we didn't drive. We took the plane. What am I saying?
No, but there's other, like you said, there's other factors. So if you're there, setting up all day, maybe, you forget to eat, or there's other things that can go wrong. Like, say you've set up your whole thing and then somebody comes in there and tells you now you have to move it to a different table. There's so many factors that trying to plan and making sure that your mock is as easy to get in place as possible is really going to make for a better, like, full weekend experience.
Yeah.
Well, it leaves room for hanging out with people.
Yes.
And really a convention is fans of this thing are convening to hang out.
Right.
And it's great to be able to hang out.
And I think that's why I was saying that I'm starting to like embrace that more, because I think when I first jumped into the con world, I was so hyper-focused on this ideas project and promoting that and didn't really know or care what the rest of the convention was about, didn't really know anybody. And now that after a couple of years of having done it, I'm like, I might go to a convention without having built anything. I kind of want to know what that experience is like, because I bet it's a lot of fun.
What I do like, and I'm not always by my models, so I do the builder is out sign, but I do take time, and I really enjoy going out with the general public when I know people are by their models, and going around and really appreciating all the other stuff that's in the convention.
Yes.
Yeah. And somebody was saying earlier, maybe it was Wilfred or somebody that said that it's only like 25 people showing at their conventions or something, and then you get to like see everything and talk to everybody. And there is something to be said for that, because I feel like at the bigger conventions like Bricks Cascade, I can walk through that convention hall like 10 times and I still have not seen everything and everyone. So there is such a thing as like too big, I think.
Right. I gotta say, I think to me, of all the ones I've gone to, Bricks LA is like the perfect
pretty
size.
intimate. Yeah.
For my opinion, and the way that I like to enjoy a convention.
Yeah.
It's like, it's big, but not too big. It's like the Mama Bear convention.
Yeah. For
right?
me, you guys haven't been to it yet, but for me, it's
too big.
I like Brick Can for the same reason. It's actually relatively small. It's in a small space. I mean, it's very much like Bricks LA, but with an even more emphasis on community. Like, not that there's not a community emphasis at Bricks LA.
No,
but
understood.
Brick Can is like really about like just going there to have a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think there's something to that too, and especially for people who feel nervous about bringing things for the first time or whatever, and I think a lot of that is because people know there's prizes, there's trophies, right? So automatically they feel intimidated, like, oh, I'm entering a contest now, whatever. Yes, if you have some kind of amazing idea and you want to go for it. But in general, like, don't build to win the trophy. Build something that makes you happy, or that you think is going to, that you want other people to see and make you happy. Because I think that
none of the conventions I've ever been to have given out awards. Period.
Yeah.
Nor had theme builds. Period.
Well, I feel
so
like
it takes the pressure off. Yeah,
I feel like people can put undue amounts of pressure on themselves because trophies are involved.
Yeah.
And just don't even. Just put that part out of your mind. Like, just build something that's fun, that you love, that you want to share with people.
Yeah, and if you don't like getting in front of people, like I don't like getting up in front of people, I kind of prefer not to get the trophies anyway, because then you have to like walk up and get it, and it's embarrassing.
Something I
Holly, just phone in a Tony Stark and send someone else to get it on your behalf and speak some good words and walk away.
As a builder, I find walking around and talking with other builders and seeing these things in person gets me all that much more extra inspired. Like, if I can really look at it and like spend time, and this is the one I spent 10 minutes with because it was so awesome.
Well, here's a great story. So at at the only Lego convention that stops by. It's a traveling convention, Brickfest Live. They come to Denver, and that's where we kind of finally get all the front hills, and Wyoming comes down, and we have different groups coming down and putting together. That's where I met Riley, and Riley makes these wearable Iron Man, Atom, such and such helmets, the full armor. But it's the Mixel technique, and he taught me how to build this wolf from that technique. So the wolf behind me is a direct result of meetings, TFOL at a convention, and having him, being able to teach me how he assembled, all the prismatic plates together in a way. So that is one of the great outcomes, is meeting someone who does something, in a radically different way. But it inspired me to try to take on another new type of building that was very outside the way I normally build, and I love doing it. So yeah, it's great to have a mashup of different ideas and different people's ideas, and you take stuff away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, this has been an awesome subject, and we'll definitely have to talk about this again when we get closer to a time when we're going to be building.
Yeah, a lot of streamers they used to do the convention pre-hype show, like a couple weeks leading up to the major convention that they would go to. They would start to talk and bring all their friends in, and have that slight semi-competitive, cooperative, competitive stream where they're getting psyched about what they're going to bring and talking about the times they're about to have.
Jesse just brought up something that we should have touched on, because it's something you guys can actually start prepping and planning for now. Yes, sig fig trading. So trinkets are actually really fun to have at the conventions. Things like I screen printed initially before I had them like custom printed. I screen printed a bunch of little button tiles. So when I was promoting my Coraline house, I would give out button tiles. Then I would give out button tiles as like prizes for like my favorite mocks and things, or mocks that were special in some way.
That's so fun to do.
Yeah, it really
is.
A
lot of people do that, and that's something you guys can, while we have this time at home, that's stuff that you guys can start thinking about, like, making stuff for the next convention that we're actually able to personally attend.
I think that was one of my favorite parts about Bricks Cascade, and I haven't experienced it before, was that people bringing their own little, like Simon Liu brought these awesome little Fallout bricks, and he had them printed, and then he would put them on mocks that he really, really loved.
Yeah, I do that.
And things that he was really, and it was this way of it's like not so much a trophy as an appreciation. Like it's more than just somebody coming up and.
Or these were cool. We had a vendor there that had these like different laser cut things, and he made these little Lego figures. I know you guys probably got some, right? Because they were for the Lego Masters, right? Didn't you?
Yeah.
And the Lego Masters were going around putting these down at their prizes for like their personal favorite mock. So this one was from Miss Crystal Star for Mike Wiley.
Yay!
So they got in on that too, which I thought was really cool, because it supports the vendors, and it's like something that you can go and like get involved in, like, the prizing and trading. That's a really fun part of the convention for sure.
So now, before we go though, we have a special guest hopping on real quick.
There he is. Yeah, like I said, you haven't had a convention experience until you've turned around and that's in your face.
Yeah, this is.
Get a black light on it.
I know. It's so this is one of Blair's wearables. Really amazing.
Well, and he made little like pups of this.
Yes,
that little alien babies.
We have
handed out.
Yeah. Well, I think, and what I think is funny too is I was gonna say, like, there's not enough cosplay at Lego conventions, in my opinion, and
it's hard
now that I can 3D print big Lego things.
Oh boy! Get ready.
It really is taking off, though.
Yeah.
Some like Johnny Thunder cosplay or something.
I want to go as Sweet Mayhem. Who doesn't want to go as Sweet Mayhem?
I'll make the wig for you. If you do that, I will 100% make that for you.
And if I remember correctly, Blair, that wearable turned into kind of a last-minute collaboration in getting an element of it together. That was an awesome little. I just saw this pod of super smart Lego builders.
Yeah, so I definitely had some Lego Masters assistants, Amy and Crystal, helping me out with some technical difficulties at the last minute, and just the community coming together because I wasn't able to get some Bricklink orders in time. So one of my awesome Bonkle friends was able to supply me a whole bag full of the Technic ball with the cross axle through to finish the wearable piece of the backpack, and people helping me get in and out of it and stuff. It was really a wonderful moment. And it was the same weekend that COVID touched down in Oregon. So the fact that I'd been wearing this 99% of the convention felt pretty good afterwards.
No kidding. Yeah.
And here I am now in Blacktron quarantine. I've got my special guard watching over me.
Awesome. Well, gosh, thank you everybody so much for coming and hanging out today. And thanks for Blair for dropping by.
I know I was in the chat a bunch, but I was making food for the kid and myself and in quarantine. So I just wanted to say hi-bye in person.
We're just happy to see you. Yeah, we're just glad that you're here.
I know, it's so wild. Blair and I normally would have seen each other several times, in person throughout the year. It's really wild that we only connect through the interwebs. Yeah.
Hey, I've never met you, nor you, nor you.
It's true.
Yet here we are.
I know.
Yeah, here we are.
One way or the other.
So
wait, thank you for coming, Blair. Now I can do this.
Oh, right.
Yes, that is your mock-anniversary gift.
Yeah. But Holly and I can combine into a Voltron gift well holder.
That looks great.
Moto Holly Mech.
Well, really, thanks.
Did you see Wilfred's comment there about the cosplay?
What was that?
This is just don't wear my pants cosplay.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not that.
Maybe not that.
Yeah, we're going to call this rule number 1 of cosplay.
If you make it through the convention without having broken that rule, you did all right.
You did all right.
Yeah.
Unless you're in your hotel room, then that's
or at an after dark event, maybe.
Oh, yeah. And Joel, I'm sorry, you're not going to see Pink Palace at Bricks Cascade again, I don't think.
So
Too much.
Let's see. I have interacted in person with all 4. I remember Brickworm, absolutely. Well, we hung out several times over Bricks Cascade. But anyway, this was a really great, awesome topic, and how fun, and it's bittersweet. It's making me miss conventions a lot, but at the same time, it's also getting me excited for the next time, we can actually do this.
Yep.
Yeah, we all have time to plan. So
Yep.
Yeah, at least.
So hopefully we touched on a bunch of subjects that will prepare you for your first or next convention. So maybe some things you hadn't thought of, stuff like that. Don't forget that we have, yes?
I just wanted to cut in for a second and say, Joel Marbella, we're talking about a time when we can go to conventions, and of course we'll always be careful, but a time when we don't have to worry about this. So we're not talking about going to a convention this week.
Yeah, right. And even I've always been kind of a germaphobe anyway. So I think hand sanitizer is
anyway.
You want to keep in that gun kit anyway.
I bring
definitely lingo,
Yeah, I didn't bring this up, but I bring a lot. I pack. The way I stuff my boxes is I use shop towels, those big shop towel packs you can get. Because you never know when someone's going to spill something, and if you have a shop towel right there, you just bam, you hit it. Or you can always, if basically it's easy to clean with a damp towel, right?
Although generally it's bad form to have any kind of open liquid container anywhere near the mocks.
But convention centers have vendors that sell food to the public.
Yeah.
So
just letting you, as a exhibitor, just another thing knowing if you've never done conventions, make sure you have closed lid liquid water bottles and stuff.
That and as our convention grew, we needed to address the fact that people tend to eat at the tables like behind the mocks, and so there's plenty of, well, I can't eat in this, but there's plenty of photos of people stuffing their face. So we eventually, through growing pains, had to address the fact that like maybe go somewhere else to eat, because tens of thousands of people are catching you like eating that long stuff.
That's pretty, it's pretty off-putting. So like we have at our convention center, I know at some others, there's usually like a lounge. So maybe pop into the lounge for like lunch hour or snack or something. But yeah, again, also something you wouldn't know, but now it's bad form to
Everybody's going to have that random picture of me doing this.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. Yeah.
Anyway.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody so much. I am going to get ready to sign off now, but I just wanted to remind everybody that we have the challenge that's going this week is to build a backdrop for our show. We're going full green screen for the next few months. So all of the rules and everything are up on TrickyBricks.com. You can get it all there. If you're on the Discord, there's also a build challenges channel on the Discord server that you can go to and check out all the rules there as well. Let's see. Our next show will be tomorrow on Twitch. And I'm going to be building stuff. Not quite sure. I think I really want to start the medieval blacksmith shop, but Richard also wants to build it. So we.
Well, I doubt you're going to finish it in one stream.
No, I will
you
not.
can. It's one of those that you guys could probably, if you want to do, like I always look at instructions online anyway. So if you can pull up 2 sets of instructions, it's really easy to build. Like one, you guys can separate the floors. So
awesome!
Cool.
Very cool. So tomorrow on Twitch at 2 p.m. for the Pacific time for the Build and Chill, and then we will be back on Wednesday with our regular show here on YouTube at 10 a.m. We haven't quite landed on. I think we'll probably end up doing a history of show because we haven't done one of those in a little while. It was funny. I was looking up, Aqua Zone was bandied about as something to do with history of, and that's actually not a very deep history. So that's
no pun intended.
Tie it together.
What was that?
I said no pun intended.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't intended, and wow, you're right. I should have thought of that ahead of time.
But we have some ideas.
But we have some ideas of combining it with some other things to talk about.
Yeah, like Atlantis. You could do all the nautical themes. Like
exactly.
That's
what I was thinking too. You can combine them.
Yeah, we were Aqua Zone and Atlantis were what we had landed on for last week, and then we ended up doing the live mock building to get people kind of juiced up for the Rebrick challenge. But we'll probably do another history of show.
Oh yeah, speaking of the Rebrick, I know you guys. I didn't submit them. I didn't submit them on Sunday, and I got some back for that. So here's my little robot. Put his arms back on. Nope, maybe not. His arms are on jumper plates, so that they can rotate. So they just pop off. But yeah, and he even has like a little wind up thing in the back there.
Oh, very nice.
Let's see the front of it.
Let's see if I can get his arm on. So this was my Rebrick from that
Mandalorian child.
Mandalorian child, yeah. Oh, robot. My little body element robot.
Oh, and you managed to use those little curved pieces to great effect.
For the feet, yeah, I know. And I was going to keep building up underneath them, but I just stopped at this point. So that's what you get. So
well, so everyone,
I did do it. I did do it.
That's cool. Keep your bricks together for that set because there's another challenge coming.
Yeah, that's also
right. We'll be doing at least the core parts of the Brickheads build. We'll be doing something for that soon. So, excuse me. Thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget. Until I'm going to just and crew, I will be back. We will be back with you all in just a few minutes, as you know. But. Until next time, I just wanted to remind everybody to please be safe, be healthy, wear your mask, wash your hands. I'm going all over the place. Wash your hands,
your mask.
Wear your mask, wash your mask, and don't forget that part. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.